Hi, this is John Reed of johnerp.com. I'm continuing with my SAP Solutions series, which is a series of videos for those folks who are in the ambitious position of trying to succeed in the SAP marketplace as a third party solutions or services provider. And a lot of my videos have been focusing in this series on how to get the word out about your products and services in creative ways because what I find is that more often than not, when I look at SAP third party solutions, the tools are great. It's the marketing component, it's the ability to connect the tool to those who need the use of the tool that is the part that needs the most help. Now, there are different ways of going about this, obviously. If you have money to spend, there are many different options you can look at in terms of pushing your product. And a lot of times, the best ways, if you have money, are to pay to develop content and pay to promote that content, whether it's webinars or white papers or what have you, and use that information sharing as a way to generate leads. An even faster jumpstart might be to partner with some companies that have reach and allow them to resell your product on a third party basis or connect some type of lead sharing arrangement, which are getting a lot better, by the way, because you can track that stuff online more than you used to, so it's less an issue of trust and more an issue of sharing access to an online tracking system where leads can be followed through on. So the really appealing thing for a lot of companies is this notion of search engine optimization, because if you can really get people to come to your site and find it, then essentially that's a free continual source of potential leads. But there's problems. There's many problems with that, one of which is that there's a lot of search engine optimization experts out there who make a lot of money selling what I consider to be snake oil, and I don't think it helps you to get where you want to go. In fact, I've said many times before that companies are better off taking the money they would have paid an SEO person and hire a talented out of work journalist to create meaningful content for their website, because that's really what's going to ultimately drive organic search traffic. Last night I was at a local gathering of a bunch of SEO geeks and techies and programmers, and we were there to talk about how we've gotten results for clients with SEO and what the pitfalls are, what have you. And it was interesting to talk with this group because I was dreading that many of them would bring up things like page rank sculpting and meta tags and meta descriptions and all this stuff. And there was a bit of that, but there was a growing understanding that content rules the day. Now, having said that, one thing I did advise the individuals at the group when they asked me about hiring a journalist instead of an SEO person, which they took a little personally since many of them are SEO people, and heck, I do a fair amount of it myself. I said, well, the one thing I would say is you do need to guide clients, people do need guidance around choosing the right architecture, because you want to choose an architecture that can grow with you. You want to make a good choice of a web-based platform. In many cases, that means selecting a content management system like WordPress or Drupal or Joomla or what have you. My John ERP site runs on Joomla, something that makes it possible to easily manipulate, create content without having to go back to a designer every 15 minutes to pay them to post another page for you. Every single site I know that has that process of paying a designer to add a page, their site blows. It's no good. So they don't get enough content up that way. It's just too tedious. So you got to empower your users to post content. But having said that, as I referred to in my other video on the content hierarchy, it's not just about blogging. It's about creating meaningful how-to content in your field. It's about creating a resource center, a reference library, something that will really draw people in and see you as an expert. And one of the great things about that is that in addition to drawing in that search traffic, it's going to start positioning you as really leaders in your field around the developments that you're tracking and writing about. And that is immeasurably valuable to you in terms of your perception. Who knows, maybe eventually that becomes a book. Now, would I just be happy with people roaming around on static content pages? No. You have to figure out how to convert those people into leads. And there's all kinds of ways you could do that. Maybe a really cutting edge way is to have live support that they can ping at any time to ask questions. But of course, that's pretty labor intensive. So there's a lot of different ways you could look at converting people once they're on your site, and then tracking that in Google Analytics and setting up conversion goals and that type of thing. So there's many different approaches to the search engine optimization thing, but you might be happy to learn that the bottom line is it's really pretty simple. It's about figuring out how your product connects to an area that people like to talk about and have interest in a broader context. So even if your product is a point solution, how does it connect? Like if it's a point solution around e-commerce, how does that connect to generally to CRM and e-commerce issues? And can you blog about that? Can you create resource material around that? And that becomes what creates passionate content as opposed to just so-so content about the product. Now, of course, it's also great to have what I call pre-sales content that walks people through how to use your product and answers questions either in real time or through SlideShare demos or what have you. So there's that kind of content as well. And if you create a wide range, I think you'll have the best results. Now, of course, the catch is that it does take time. There's no easy way around that. You're either spending money or you're spending time. The advantage is that if it comes naturally to you, you find a good medium for yourself, video tutorials or whatever, then you can spend that time and you'll actually enjoy it and it'll pay off. In other cases, it's better to invest the money and be more of a content manager and train someone else to post a lot of it for you. The two things I would say is just remember to put a face on it, to put a human face on what you're doing, and also to pay attention to multimedia content because it doesn't always behave the same as regular content in search. Obviously, there's a limit to how video content can be searched, like no one can search on phrases I used in this video yet the way I post them. On the other hand, YouTube videos do appear prominently in Google in many cases, so maybe there is some search benefit that comes out of that. So the subject of multimedia search is probably a topic for another video in this series. But I hope some of these thoughts have inspired you a little bit to realize that it's not just about this complex meta taggery and this complicated SEO analysis and PageRank sculpting and all this stuff. It's about connecting your product to thought leadership and making connections to people who share similar passions. And then you can embark on your social networking conversation as well, and you'll have lots of stuff to tweet and talk about. So I wish you luck in your SAP Solutions journey. This is John Reed of JohnERP.com.